language you'll hear on Blood on the Microphone can be adult in nature. This program is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
Meanwhile, in his slime-coated wormhole in Westminster, Maryland, Hoggy the Third plots and plans.
Oh, they thought they had old Hoggy beat, didn't they? Oh, this will catch them by surprise, and they'll never see it coming.
What you doing this time, Daddy?
Oh, it's you, Hoggy the Fourth. Slither over here so Daddy can show you his latest evil plan that's certain to succeed this time.
Where have I heard that before? Ow.
Now look, you idiot. As you can see, this is going to be conducted in a civil court. Because in a criminal court, you're held to a different burden of proof, it's called. I won't have to prove anything.
You mean the judge is just gonna let you win because you said so?
Quiet, you fool. Look at my plan. See? Remember when I charged Schmalfeld with illegal access to a computer?
Yeah. The judge threw that out with all those other cases of yours that you filed the other day. Ow. Ow.
Well, I have proof. I have proof that he attempted to swat me.
You mean like this, Daddy?
Ow! Where did you learn that sort of behavior?
Ow. Ow. Ow.
Now you relax and just listen. Back in October of 2012, while the rest of the eastern seaboard was battening down the hatches in anticipation of one of the worst storms to hit the area in 100 years, and of course I'm talking about Superstorm Sandy, I called the police to warn them about a commenter posting from an IP address that said something mean about me. He was going to swat me! And I have the IP address. You know what an IP address is, don't you, Hoggy the Fourth? It's sort of like an internet address that you can tell who sent you something or who posted something by looking at the IP address. And this IP address belonged to Bill Schmalfeld. He was threatening to swat me, and he was trying to do so by pretending to be somebody else.
What's that IP address, Daddy?
Here, look for yourself.
50.115.175.148. I'll be back in a minute, Daddy.
Oh, you go do whatever it is you do in your little corner of the wormhole. I've got to plot and I've got to plan.
I'm back, Daddy.
That wasn't long.
Yeah, Daddy. I took that IP address you gave me.
Yes?
And I looked it up on an IP locator.
Yes? It came back to Schmalfeld, didn't it? I just knew it.
No, Daddy. It came back to a virtual host on a Cloudflare server in Kansas somewhere.
It did. Who?
It's a name server for something called holyis.com. They run a virtual host on that Cloudflare server. The name servers are ns1.holyis.com, ns2.holyis.com, and here's who it's registered to, Daddy, and I do not think that it is this Schammelfeld fellow.
Well, who is it then, damn your eyes?
Tony Roger Bonetti. and his email address is at readyhost.com.br. He lives in a town called Benito Goncalves in Brazil.
That's not Bill Schmalfeld, is it?
Unless he lives in Brazil or had access to some sort of way to get this guy's IP address.
Well, you know my rules, son. If you can't prove it, yank it out of your ass and call it a fact. Now, here's all I have to do, is come up with a way for Schmalfeld on this night of this terrible storm that affected travel up and down the East Coast and therefore everywhere, some way for him to have gotten down to Brazil to somehow bribe this Brazilian fellow into allowing him to use his internet IP address. Yes, I'll prove that. It's another scheme that will. Sometimes I amaze myself with these schemes that I'm able to come up with.
It's worked real well for you so far, Daddy. Ow. 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 Ow.
The Lord of Satire. It's not like he's John the Baptist. I'm the Lord of Satire. And it's not like there was an election or anything. I just started calling myself the Lord of Satire, for God's sakes. Okay. The Lord of Satire's here. The Lord of Satire. And I think we're all done preparing. I'm here. You've done a nice job of preparing the way. But I'm just the Lord of Satire. The Lord of Satire. Not a deity, nothing like that. Just the Lord of Satire. Hi. Comedy and satire and bits and hosted by Bill Schmalfeld. I think you might have the wrong idea of who you were preparing for. Oh, that's enough of this. You know, I'll try to have a better show opening tomorrow, but this is one of those shows that we kind of came up to the last minute, you know, and hi there, I'm Bill Schmalfeld. I am the Lord of Satire, and there's a reason why we've changed the name. It's really none of your business, but I'll tell you anyway. We have every hope of someday, perhaps, maybe even expanding this show into a more national audience. And after extensive discussions with my creative team, we've decided that that whole blood on the microphone thing, while it's a great image, it might be somewhat off-putting to a large audience. Much in the same way, have you ever heard of the Broadway musical Urinetown? It was back in 2001 it came out, and it was nominated for a Best Musical Tony in 2002, and it won all the major Tonys for musicals except Best Musical because of its name, Urinetown, which is a fact they made fun of during the show, but this seems to make more sense. Lord of the Satire. That's what we do here on the show. My new Twitter address is at Lord of the Satire, and my new website is www.lordofthesatire.com, and that's where we will start stashing these shows. after they've been recorded and aired, and they'll be available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, we began today with Old Man Hoggy. You know, it's like Godfather 3. Every time I think I'm done with them, they pull me back in. Every time I think I'm out, they drag me back. I know I got that quote wrong, and frankly, I don't care. But it's like stove hot, don't touch. This lawsuit that he's filed a lawsuit. He hasn't actually sent any summonses out yet, but he's got 60 days to do that. This is almost word for word the same charges that were thrown out of court yesterday when he was charging me with illegal access to a computer. I've got his court filing right here. William John Joseph Hogue of Westminster, Maryland, and he's suing John Doe, Robert Rowe, and Peter Poe because he doesn't have enough evidence yet to name the people. Oh, you want to know, Lord of the... Well, for long purposes, I'm Lord of the Satire, but for my website and for Twitter, just Lord of Satire. Lord of Satire. Write that down. At Lord of Satire, and then www.lordofsatire.com. The seemed a little redundant, and I ran out of space for the Twitter name. So, Lord of Satire, and that was a good question. You get extra credit for that. And by the way, you owe me $10. Remember our little bet? Huh? You? Huh? $10, buddy. He's got the suit. We got the lawsuit right here. Now comes plaintiff William John Joseph Hogue, pro se, which means a lawyer wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole, to file this complaint against defendants John Doe, Robert Rowe, and Peter Poe for unauthorized access to a computer system, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and conspiracy, and seeking an injunction. So here is what I allegedly did. This is the crime that was thrown out by a judge in Carroll County yesterday, now reappearing as a civil suit. Somehow, some way, I got control of an IP address, 50.115.175.148. And this is while Hurricane Sandy was raging outside. You see, in the middle of a hurricane that's battering the East Coast, I found time, instead of securing my own property, to go online at 11:29 a.m. on October 29th, 2012, to post a comment. Hope you don't get swatted again on Halloween around, say, 10:15 p.m. Hope that really doesn't happen, fucker. And the attempted comment, which was, I guess, supposed to be posted on his Hogwash website, was made under the identity of the Lonely Conservative, and it was sent from the IP address I gave you a moment ago. Then at around 11:31 a.m. same day, defendant John Doe, who in the criminal complaint was me, attempted to post the following comment give me some money. I'm a big drunk that can't feed his kids. And that also, though that was made under the identity of the other McCain, who is R. Stacey McCain, who is a big drunk and can't feed his kids, but that's his problem, not ours. And it was made from the same IP address. Now, here's the problem with that. I don't own, nor do I have access to that IP address. I'm going to refer to a story which you can find online right now at breitbartunmasked.com. And they're even less nice to Mr. Hogue than I am. Hogue is a narcissist, like his friends Stranahan, Aaron Walker, and Patrick Fry, who, by the way, today is the opening day of his court proceedings against Nadia Naif, who he allegedly provided her Social Security number and private medical information online for anybody who wanted to read it and steal her identity. I hope she leaves him a nice little refrigerator cardboard box to live in, but that's another story. The writer of this story apparently thought that Hogue was aiming at Brett Kimberlin, which ultimately he is. The whole idea here is to get Kimberlin through me. But when this was originally a criminal complaint, which again I say was thrown out of court yesterday, I was the person that Hogue was blaming for these incursions onto his website. Okay, so back to the story here. We have the claim of intentional emotional distress, allegedly linked to a mean comment someone made on the internet. Oh no, someone was mean on the internet. Call the internet police right away. Someone left a mean comment via a Brazilian IP address, which Hogue somehow knows is me. I have no idea how to hack a computer. I barely know how to do this show. Oh, and Khaled Al-Salam, hi there. Welcome, and glad to have you as a listener. And I am Lord of the Satire. Yes, I am. But although, again, I'm not going to confuse anybody anymore with that. But Kaleem Al-Salam, new listener, and welcome aboard, my friend. All right, so here's the backstory. Hoagie's going to make me pay because Hoagie knows I've been writing about him. And, well, here's what he thinks happened. I told you that already. Obsession. You know, it's a strange thing. Hoagie wrote a post on October 29th, 2012 about his new obsession, Brett Kimberlin. He went through Kimberlin's 990s and posted his analysis of them along with Kimberlin's business interests, which he continues to do to this day in his daily Team Kimberlin post on hogwash.com. In Hoag's mind, a felony means you're stripped of your citizenship. Unless you're a conservative like, James O'Keefe. Obsession is a bitch kitty. While the rest of the eastern seaboard was battening down the hatches in anticipation of one of the worst storms to hit the area in 100 years, Hoag calls the cops to warn them, distracting them from their duties of preparing the people of Westminster and Carroll County in advance of this storm. He calls the police to warn them that a commenter posting from an IP address in Brazil said something mean about him, and now he's afraid. Hoagie, You don't just get to make allegations because you can spew them out of your mouth like projectile vomit or out of your ass like projectile diarrhea. You have to have evidence, actual, real. You can hold it in your hand. Honest to God evidence is not enough to just say you think someone did something. There must be concrete ties to the actual evidence. You want to see the evidence, Hoggy? Go to BreitbartUnmasked.com. Look at the story about you. There's the evidence. It's simple. When I first got the complaint alleging that I was the one who did this, I looked up this IP address, which anybody can do. You go to an IP locator on the internet. You type in the numbers 50.115.175.148, and you run a who is search to see who it is. That's why they call it who is. You can find out who it is. Now, in this case, the IP came to a name server for a website called HolyIs, HOLOIIS.com, which runs on a virtual host on Cloudflare server in Kansas somewhere. Now you'll want to know who is HolyIs, right? Right, so here's the record. Name servers. NS1, HolyIs.com. NS2, HolyIs.com. Registrant contact, Tony Roger Bonetti from Benito Goncalves in Brazil. You want his phone number, Hog? I'll give it to you. I've got it. He's also the administrative contact and the technical contact. He's also the billing contact. So, Hoggy, look at one of the other domains hosted on that IP. Any one of them. One of them is owned by uebsys.com, which is also owned by Tony Roger Bonetti. UEBSys is a web development company, a Brazilian web development company. Hoagie, you cannot yank shit out of your ass and call it fact. And then you say, the plaintiff has suffered and continues to suffer damages as a direct result of defendant John Doe, that's me, John Doe, unauthorized access to a computer system that was undertaken at the direction of defendant Robert. Well, you see, you got your names wrong here. Defendant Robert Rowe with the assistance of defendant Peter Poe. Robert Rowe will probably be Brett Kimberlin. And Peter Poe will probably be Breitbart Unmasked or Neil Rauhauser or Santa Claus or somebody. But we can make all of this go away. All of this pain and suffering that poor William John Joseph Hogue has suffered for the low, low price of $7,500. No, we're not giving you any money, you absurd piece of shit. As a matter of fact, we may take some money from you. I could probably get $7,500 for that shack you live in Westminster. The reason you're representing yourself pro se is because no lawyer in Maryland will touch this with a 10-foot pole because of the law that says a lawyer has to know when it's obvious that such action would serve merely to harass or maliciously injure another. And that is exactly what you're trying to do, Hogue. You're trying to maliciously harass and injure me. And through me, Brett Kimberlin. You've had 13 complaints dismissed between you and Aaron Walker and Lee Stranahan, and in every case the judge told you why they didn't want to hear it. All 10 pages of your bogus complaint are an attempt to harass and maliciously injure somebody you don't like very much. And you've used this to keep interest in your pathetic little excuse for a blog going, and someone who's been a nice profit center for your donation stream. You have no evidence of any form of injury, no evidence whatsoever of any linkage between Tony Roger Bonnet, the owner of the IP, which visited your website, and me. Maryland has something to say about frivolous lawsuits, hog, and it ain't pretty. Rule 1-341, bad faith. Unjustified proceeding in any civil action. If the court finds that the conduct of any party in maintaining or defending any proceeding was in bad faith or without substantial justification, the court may require the offending party or attorney advising the conduct, or both of them, to pay to the adverse party the costs of the proceeding and reasonable expenses, including reasonable attorney fees, incurred by the adverse party in opposing it. Now, the only thing saving you to this point, hoggy, is because you got nobody to serve. That's why we're John Doe, Robert Rowe, and Peter Poe. Now, I wouldn't be at all surprised to learn that you've been collecting a stipend because of this harassment. After all, when you're after somebody who's challenged the NRA and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, among others, yeah, it's no problem tossing a few thousand bloggers to try to create a smokescreen. Nice work if you can get it and still look in the mirror, which must be a challenge for you, Hogue. But the writer on BreitbartUnmasked.com has defined Kimberlin derangement syndrome. It's catching among the conservative contingent. First, it was John Patrick Fry, who has his own problems to deal with today. Then Seth Allen. Then Aaron Walker. And now W.J.J. Hogue. Oh, and also the eminently dishonest Lee Stranahan and Brandon Darby. They got it too. And now with this incredibly incompetent, written by a fourth grader, frivolous lawsuit, Hoggy, you join the ranks of those in desperate need of a regular Xanax prescription and a therapist and a nap. I wish you luck in finding that. Meanwhile, you've got about 43 days to serve summonses, asshole, or this all goes bye-bye. And then you go bye-bye.
Blessed are the funny, for they shall inherit the mirth. The Lord of Satire will return. Hello, I'm Tea Party favorite Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert. And I just want to take a minute of your time here today to tell you that I take issue with what my good friend, Fox News commentator and writer for WorldNet Daily, Eric Rush, said the other day when he said we should kill all the Muslims. Not only was it a wrong-headed thing to say, it was insufficient to what needs to be done. If we do what Eric Rush says, we're only solving half the problem. For instance, did you know, and this is true, that Al-Qaeda has camps on the Mexican border? I'm not kidding about that. You know it's true. Matter of fact, our government knows it's true because President Obama goes down there every Friday for Friday prayers with his Al-Qaeda friends. Takes his own little prayer rug down there with him, puts on his little Muslim hat and unrolls his prayer mat, and somebody shows him which way he points to Mecca, and they kneel down and they pray together. And then the Air Force One brings him back to Washington and nobody even notices. So if we are serious about handling this Islamic problem, we can't stop with just killing the Muslims. We're going to have to handle all the Hispanics as well. Because as it turns out, Hispanics, have you noticed? Hispanics look a lot like Muslims. If you lined up about 10 Hispanics and 10 Arabs against the wall and made them all wear just regular T-shirts and underwear and that sort of thing, I'd give you $5 if you could pick out an Arab from a Mexican. You can't do it. They look almost exactly the same. And Al-Qaeda is teaching these terrorists how to act Hispanic. I mean, it sounds like I'm kidding, but I'm not. They are training their operatives how to act like Mexicans. So when they sneak across the border, they can say all the proper things like no habla English and give me welfare and things like that. And next thing you know, you hire yourself one of these Al-Qaeda people to pick your tomatoes, and then they're blowing up a building somewhere like they did up in Boston until I'm proved incorrect, which I don't think I will be. You have to understand, we want immigrants in this country. We want people who want America to be a haven for people who want to live free. But when you've got the greatest liberties, you just know you're going to draw the people that want to destroy you because they hate our liberty. I don't see why this is so hard to understand. So, the first thing we need to do is get that Islamic so-and-so Obama out of the White House. Do whatever you got to do. And then we need to follow through on my friend Eric Rush's idea, but not stop with half measures. We need to take it all the way. We got to stop being squeamish about things like this and realize we are at war, and there will be casualties in a war. Now, right now, I can hear somebody saying, well, what about the babies? What about the cute little Hispanic babies? Rats have cute little babies, too. And you don't solve a rat problem by letting the babies live. That's all I gotta say.
It has been said that those who do not learn the lessons of history are doomed to live them again. If you go back in history to the French Revolution, you find there was a thrust.
When you're young and so in love, they say, complicated by the fact you're gay. How can two men fall in love without blessings from above? What a town full of bigots can do. If we stop to gaze upon a star, people talk about how queer we are. Ours is not an easy life. I'm his husband, he's my wife. What a town full of bigots can do. We all have problems, many problems. We need an understanding heart. Why do they hate us? Please don't hate us before your hate makes this country fall apart. Seems like attitudes are changing fast. I believe this stupid hate won't last. We can keep our love alive. We can prosper, we can thrive, while their little minds tear right into, like a town full of bigots can do.
Well, we have here a debate over same-sex marriage, but is it really just about marriage? Or does it go far beyond that, to destroying the traditional family and building a country without God?
We can keep our love alive. We can prosper, we can thrive, when their little minds tear right into, like a town full of bigots can do. Yes, it's really kind of shitty what a town full of bigots can do.
It's an obsession nobody talks about.
It's like they're little and big at the same time, and they're just so cute.
Some say it's a crazy obsession.
There's just something about the way they smell.
But is it illegal? Is it immoral?
The judge says it's okay to look, but not to touch.
But some let their crazy obsession ruin their lives.
Come here, you fat little cutie. Get in the basket. Get in the basket.
My crazy obsession with big fat American gypsy toddlers with tiaras. Tonight at 10, 9 Central on the Learning Channel.
And let satire have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete. Now more of the Lord of Satire.
You know, there are some days when writing satire is difficult. When you sit there and you scratch your head and you say, what can I find about this news story that's funny? And I can't do like Limbaugh does and mock tragedy. I mean, that's a conservative thing. Conservatives, they love nothing better than to mock tragedy. Not me. I'm not that way. I like to mock the mockable. And sometimes I don't even have to write a word. All I have to do is turn on the TV and hit record.
Go ahead and tell us what you can.
I want to report some breaking news information from two sources. One is a Boston law enforcement source who tells me they believe they do have a significant breakthrough in the investigation. Authorities now believe they have identified a suspect, an individual who placed one of the explosive devices at that location of the second explosion. I repeatedly asked whether this person was in custody. I could not get further answers.
You're getting more information, exclusive reporting. What else are you learning?
That an arrest has been made in the investigation
so the
here in
suspect
Boston.
that was identified has now been arrested.
We would assume that. I've just been told that an arrest has been made. An arrest has been made in this investigation, a dramatic shift.
An arrest has been made, and it is based not on one, but on two different video images of the suspect at the bombing site. But I think we need to be, as you know, careful because initial information can often be wrong.
I want to be precise, and I want to make sure we have it right. It's important to get this information out there to the American public and important to get this information out there in general, but it's much more important to make sure that we're precise and accurate.
An arrest has been made. Both Fran's federal source and my Boston source say an arrest has been made. As always, there's some conflicting information about this, and one of our justice producers is saying he's hearing information that there's not an arrest yet. Apprehension, an arrest, Miranda rights being processed. These can all mean different things to different people in the cloud of this.
Without an arrest, it could be an interview. He could have consented to it.
We should be a little bit cautious until we actually know that there's a person in custody. We don't want to get too far ahead of this because this is actually has significance for the capture of this person. Sure. If he is free, if he is out and about, the public needs to know who it is.
So remember, just to take a half a step back, this is accelerated incredibly quickly. We're getting some conflicting reports about an arrest. We have Tom Fuentes with us.
There has been no arrest, and in fact, a suspect has not been identified by name yet. That they have, they're looking for someone, but they don't have anybody in custody yet, and they don't have an identification.
Okay, now, that would be, we don't know what's right or not right at this point, and as Anderson always says, you don't want to go down the road of speculation wrongfully.
I have talked to a pair of highly placed Department of Justice officials, and they both tell me that no arrest has been made. It appears that no one is in custody as far as they can tell. I was told by one of these officials that they had actually triple checked. So no arrest has been made. No arrest has been made.
No arrest. We've got it.
They've arrested somebody! Wait, no, they haven't arrested anybody! Wait, hang on, they've arrested nobody!
It's a national embarrassment, and a hat tip to Talking Points memo for mashing that video together. I put the music behind it, but like I said, sometimes the satire writes itself. And it's a national embarrassment. That was all CNN. All within the span of an hour and a half, going from there's definitely an arrest, and we know there's been an arrest, and we confirm there's been an arrest, to there might not have been an arrest, but there may have been an arrest, but maybe there wasn't an arrest. Maybe it's just somebody being detained and questioned, and maybe they just had their rights read to them, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. And, oh yeah, there's been no arrest. A national embarrassment, our media. The 24/7 cable media. You've heard me talk about them before. They're not in the news business. They're in the butts in the recliner, eyeballs on the screen business. It's just, you talk to people from other countries around the world, and you talk about our media, and you just shake your head in total, complete embarrassment. And there's something else embarrassing. Our leaders, Republicans, Democrats, the lot of them, they should be hanging their heads in shame today because the Senate could not do what 90% of Americans wanted them to do, and that's pass background checks for the purchase of firearms. Not talking about taking guns away, not talking about registering, talking about background checks, which 90% of Americans want. And they couldn't even do that. Gun nuts. There's no need to feel blue. I said gun nuts. We take good care of you. I said gun nuts. There are senators who will make sure you stay well armed. Gun nuts. They are watching your back. I said gun nuts. For when Muslims attack, I said gun nuts. Take your government back. You will need to be well stockpiled. Ow, 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 ow. 'Cause all the senators love NRA. That's 'cause they're paid good by the NRA. They make sure that you don't have to report on your past when you feel that it's time to blast. Republicans vote for the NRA. And so do Democrats vote NRA. Now the gun bill is dead, like a shot in the head. We don't care what the Gabby said. Gun nuts. Are you listening to me? I say gun nuts. Do you want to stay free? I say gun nuts. You can take it from me that the Congress will do nothing. Gun nuts. The majority wants to have gun laws, but the NRA flaunts all that money. So just join NRA. I'm sure they can help you today. Ow, 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 ow. That's why Republicans vote NRA. And so do Democrats vote NRA. Now the gun bill is dead, like a shot in the head. We don't care what the Giffords say. 'Cause all the senators love NRA. That's 'cause they're paid good by the NRA. They made sure that you don't have to report your past when you feel that it's time to blast. Gun nuts. Although 90% of the people say it's just common sense to check backgrounds when you're buying a gun, that just makes you wait to have fun. Congress, they know better than you. I said Congress. They will watch out for you. That's 'cause they're owned by the great NRA, and they know how to vote for pay. Ow, 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 ow. So all Republicans vote NRA, and so do Democrats vote NRA. Now the gun bill is dead, like a shot in the head. We don't care what that blonde chick says. The senators, they love the NRA. That's because they're paid real good by the NRA. They made sure that you don't have to report on your past when you feel that it's time to blast. Republicans all vote for NRA, and so do Democrats vote NRA. They made sure that you don't have to report on your past when you feel that it's time to blast. The senators all vote for NRA. That's because they're paid real good by the NRA. Now the gun bill is dead, like a shot in the head. We don't care what that blonde chick said. Yay, NRA. Ever been down to Texas? Interesting place, interesting characters. You may be listening down in Texas for all I know, and a lot of interesting things coming out of there. This congressman that they've been talking about lately, Steve Stockman, for instance, yeah, he's one of the new ones. He's one of the new Tea Party congressmen from Texas, and he's got a particularly interesting campaign slogan for his next election. Did you hear about that? If babies had guns, they wouldn't be aborted. Well, that's just silly. I mean, first of all, how are you going to get a gun in there? Okay, I mean, without hurting the mother. And at 24 weeks, the upper edge of the legal age at which a fetus can be aborted, there's just not going to be the hand strength to pull the trigger. And where's the kid going to get the ammo? I mean, at 24 weeks, the brain is not sufficiently developed to really be aware of its surroundings. So if Congressman Stockman thinks giving fetuses guns is going to stop them from being aborted, I'm afraid that a 24-week-old fetus is just not going to know what to do with it, for one thing. And even if you could set it up to where the moment the sperm meets the egg, not only is a zygote formed, but a little gun is formed too. And the gun grows as the baby grows, and the baby instinctively learns how to use it while he's inside his mommy. Who's to say that child is not going to come out at full term blasting? I mean, think about it. There you are. You're safe. You're warm. You're floating in fluid. You're clutching onto your Bushmaster. And you feel that first contraction. What's your first reaction going to be? Holy God, what's going on here? And then you feel the squeezing, and you see this opening, and there's light through it, and you're like, oh, no, what the, ah! And suppose you're a twin, identical, fraternal, it doesn't matter, or triplets even. Imagine what that would be like if you each had a gun, each of these little babies inside the mommy had a gun, and they had a disagreement. There's just no room to walk off 10 paces inside a uterus. Believe me, I know, I've been there. I'm a twin myself. And it's not like you'd have to be an expert marksman or anything at close quarters like that, but imagine the collateral damage if you miss the twin and take out a kidney or something. That's not going to be very good for mom, and it's not going to be good for you in the long run when she has to have a kidney removed. Or, for God's sake, what if one of your bullets bounces off of her spine and ricochets up to her heart? Then everybody dies. And think of the poor Octomom. Can you imagine the gunfight at the OK Corral that would have gone on in there? But practical considerations aside, imagine a single full-term baby being born with a gun. So when the doctor's got his hands on your head, you got your finger wrapped around the trigger of your Bushmaster, and when you come out, you're seeing things you've never seen before. Think of an alien coming out of a spaceship. A brand new baby doesn't know who we are or what human beings look like. The little bastard's just going to start shooting. Would make for an interesting movie idea, though.
In a world of amniotic fluid and darkness, with only the sound of a beating heart to keep you company, you think you're safe. But little Johnny McDane wasn't taking any chances.
Go ahead, Mommy. Make my birthday.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Johnny McDane, baby with a Bushmaster.
One more push, Mrs. McDane. The baby's crowning. One more push, and here he is, and
Oh, God, he's packing heat!
Hasta la vista, mommy.
Baby with a Bushmaster.
Okay, the rest of you here in the nursery. Come with me if you want to live.
Baby with a Bushmaster. No uterus could hold him. No hospital could keep him overnight without the free consent of the health insurance company.
Come right without me, Johnny. Your last round caught me in the leg.
Stay with me, Stella. I've never lost a baby yet. We are getting out of this hellhole.
Baby with a Bushmaster.
It's a boy.
Baby with a Bushmaster. The film is not yet rated. Coming this summer.
I have to go potty, but I'll be back.
In utero, no one can hear you scream.
I was looking at Stephen Stockman's Twitter one day, and I laughed at the thing that I saw. Oh, he may be a congressman of Tea Party ways, but horse sense is what he ain't got. I'm quick on the uptake. I'd like to get a tax break from our new Texas congressman. But I know damn for certain my name ain't Richard Burton, and you can't give a fetus a gun. When I'm with a girlie, her hair all blonde and curly, and we have some illicit fun. In a condom I trusted, she sees that it got busted. Still you can't give a fetus a gun. If she's knocked up, 'cause you cocked up, no, you can't give a fetus a gun. She won't need extortion, just pay for her abortion, 'cause they're safe when they're cleanly done. The pro-lifers will gird her and holler baby murder. They can yell, cuss, and fight, but a gal's got the right, and you can't give a fetus a gun. And if you could do it, you'd probably live to rue it, arming some woman's baking bun. 'Cause a gun would confuse it, it won't know how to use it. Oh, you can't give a fetus a gun. Unborn armed with weapons might just be born as felons if they shoot at and kill someone. When they take aim and then miss, there would be abortionists. No, you can't give a fetus a gun. From the birth room to the courtroom, no, you can't give a fetus a gun. In Texas, we don't care if you don't think that it's fair that we'll charge you for murder. One. No ifs, ands, or maybes. We got death row for babies. And you won't get a hug, just a heart-stopping drug. Oh, you can't give a fetus a gun.
Bless those who make you laugh. Bless and do not curse them. The Lord of Satire will return.
What happens when a family of midgets lives in a rundown house filled with junk?
We gotta stop living like this.
When the health department came to inspect the house, they couldn't even get the door open.
They had boxes full of rotting pizza stacked up against the door.
Look, I still have old used Pampers from when I was a baby, and I'm 35 years old. This room we're standing in, full of old dirty Pampers. Don't cut yourself on anything. It's a death sentence.
There are little people living in a great big mess.
Even the cats won't come in anymore.
Little people, big hoarders. Tonight at 10, 9 Central on the Learning Channel.
I'm just like everyone else in America. I've been on an antidepressant medication as long as I can remember. And it worked. Every morning I'd get out of bed, take my medication, and look forward to a bright new day full of promise and adventure. Then by the end of the day, the realization that I still had the same dead-end bullshit job, and my wife was still the nagging bitch she always has been, and my kids were still disobedient little brats, I go to bed every night just horribly despondent over the way my life was turning out. That's when I asked my doctor about Acceptitol.
Acceptitol, fluvocertra peroxapam, has been clinically proven to eliminate emotions and expectations in adults.
Now I take an Acceptitol every morning and nothing matters. My boss is a jerk? Meh. My wife cheats on me with the UPS guy? Meh. My kids are sniffing glue? Meh. I just don't care anymore.
Acceptitol has been shown to cause explosive bloody diarrhea, congestive heart failure, dry skin, dry mouth, dry eyes, and bad breath in dogs. Don't take Acceptitol if you are driving, handling heavy machinery, or firearms until you know what effect Acceptitol will have on your inner rage. Acceptitol has also been shown to cause cancer of the liver, cancer of the anus, cancer of the heart, and sudden death from otherwise unexplained reasons. Don't take Acceptitol if you have a reason to wake up in the morning. Acceptitol should not be taken while drinking alcohol, smoking, or breathing. Ask your doctor about studies that show Acceptitol may be responsible for spontaneous combustion in people over 40. Acceptitol should never be taken in combination with any other drug. Your doctor does not have time to explain all the risks, so have someone read the tiny print in the FDA-required warning pamphlet to you.
I used to want to kill myself. Now I just don't care. Thank you, Acceptitol.
If you are just sick of it all but don't have the guts to kill yourself, ask your doctor if Acceptitol will help you. Not to be taken internally, externally, or sublingually, available in 10-pound suppository form only.
For the Lord takes pleasure in his people. He adorns the funny with salvation. Now more of the Lord of Satire.
And now it's time for another Medical Minute. Here with some interesting facts is retired writer-editor from the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, Bill Schmalfeld.
It is a well-known fact, and it has been established by the Department of Homeland Security, that terrorists are now able to insert small incendiary devices into a person's skull. They generally do this while someone is either asleep or they chloroform someone while they're asleep. They sneak into the person's house and put a rag with chloroform over their face and render them deeply unconscious. Then with an almost needle-sized burr drill, they drill a tiny hole into the skull, insert the incendiary device, which is about the size of a grain of rice, actually. And then they seal up the hole with putty and cover it with a special epoxy that terrorists use. And then they just comb the hair right back over where the drill hole was. And you wake up in the morning maybe with a little bit of a headache, but otherwise not knowing that you have an explosive device in your head until the terrorists decide to set it off. And then, well, it's too late. We talked to a neurosurgeon who, for obvious reasons, doesn't wish to be identified. And he explained some cutting-edge techniques developed by the National Institutes of Health to remove these incendiary devices. Now, doctor, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that you can actually access these incendiary devices without having to open the skull. You can put an endoscope up through a person's nose and then retrieve the incendiary device, causing minimal damage to the patient. Am I right?
Over the last decade, endoscopy has been increasingly used in endonasal transfemoidal surgery, not only for the removal of
incendiary devices implanted into the skull and brain,
but other brain and skull-based
incendiary devices that can be set off by a remote control, incendiary devices that can be set off by a change in air pressure, and many other types of bombs that terrorists use to implant into the brains of their victims these days.
In the short video that follows, endonasal endoscopic removal of a
bomb
is shown. The initial portion of the procedure involves removing bone at the back of the nasal cavity, the sphenoid bone, to provide access into the sphenoid sinus and to the
area where the terrorist put the bomb.
After the sphenoidotomy is performed using a binostril two-surgeon technique, the microdoppler probe is used to localize the carotid artery, and the surgical navigation probe confirms adequate exposure. Next, the dura is opened with a microblade, taking care to only open the dura and not enter into the
bomb itself, because results would be tragic, as happened in the past during such a surgery in Frankfurt, Germany, which leveled an entire hospital.
Using microdissectors and suction, the
bomb
is then identified and separated from the dura, as well as the normal pituitary gland.
Well, that's just great, Doctor, and thank you for sharing that information with us. This has been another Medical Minute. I'm retired National Institutes of Health writer-editor Bill Schmalfelt. Thank you for joining us. That's going to do it for our first Lord of Satire show. I'm Bill Schmalfelt. Thanks for joining us. I want to leave you with this. Aaron Walker, Aaron Worthing, if you will, is noting on his Twitter timeline right now. Just turn that down a little bit more there. Aaron Worthing is noting on his Twitter timeline some great advice. And I remember, this is a 40-plus-year-old man. He's a licensed attorney in the state of Virginia. And he says, be extremely careful with licensed video games. A large number of them just plain suck. Check lots of reviews. Sorry, gals, he's taken. We'll do this again tomorrow, live at 12 noon, and then on demand the rest of the day on Spreaker Web Radio. My Twitter address, you can find me at Lord of Satire. That's at Lord of Satire. I've got a Facebook fan page. You can find that as well. And I've got to get 25 likes before I can give it a decent name, so. And my new website, where I'll be parking these shows once we pull them off the web here, is www.lordofsatire, all one word, lordofsatire.com. So have a great day. Until tomorrow at noon. We'll chat with you then. I'll even have an actual show opening and closing set for you by then, hopefully. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. Bill Schmalfelt. Peace out.